All right, everyone, welcome back. Today we are making chicken pho. It's a Vietnamese noodle soup and it is really good. I promise if you guys make it, you're going to love it. So let's jump straight into it. We're going to take a large pot filled with water and put it on the stove on a high heat. We're going to take a whole chicken, untrimmed and anything, just put it straight into the pot. And then in a small pan, we're going to go in with about 5 to 6 star anise and two little like kind of shards of cinnamon, and then that is some coriander seeds, probably about 2 tablespoons. We're just going to kind of toast that up to bring the flavors out. Then we're going to go back over, check the chicken. You can see all of that white stuff is starting to come up to the top. So what we're going to do is actually strain all of that water out, all of that liquid, and we're going to wash off of the chicken because this is just going to make for a much clearer broth at the end of the day. So that first boiling process takes about 15 to 20 minutes. It's not actually going to cook the chicken. It's literally just trying to get what we call it scum in the restaurant business, which sounds gross, but that's just what we call it. And that's what you can see here. So then I've taken it out of the boiling water and just kind of rinsing it off in some cold water. I'm gonna set it to the side and I'm gonna take that same pot, just clean it up a little bit. And then we're gonna fill that same pot back up with water and we're gonna put it back on the stove. And this is when we'll actually start the cooking process of the chicken. And now that we've got that chicken cleaned up so we can get a good clear broth, now we'll add in our aromatics. So the 5 to 6 cloves of star anise, the half stick of cinnamon, and the 2 tablespoons of coriander seed. I've got some cheesecloth here. I just rolled it up and you can see I'm tying it up. And now we're gonna throw in a whole charred onion that's cut in half, and probably about, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 ounces of fresh ginger root that you can see up there in the top. I've just split it in half and we're gonna char that off too. So you can see right here, if you have a stove, an electric coil stove like this, makes it easy. As you can see, you can just turn it on high, throw it on there, it'll char it up. It also makes the house smell amazing. But yeah, so we're gonna do that with the ginger and the onion. If you don't have this type of stove, what you can do is you can either throw it on the grill outside. I know that's kind of a pain. So if you know, and this step is not necessary. It does add a little bit of an extra flavor to the soup, but it's not necessary. If you don't have a burner like that, or you don't feel like going out to the grill, you don't have to, you can just skip that step. You can just throw the onion and ginger in as they are. So as you can see, I went back to the soup. There was some more stuff floating up to the top, so you're just going to skim that off. Like I said, we want this soup to be really clear. It's almost going to be like a golden soup when we're done with it, but it's really, really clear. You don't want it to be murky. So we're going to drop those onions in, we're going to drop that ginger in, and then we're going to drop in that little bag of spices. And as you can see, got some rock sugar here. That's about, I would say about 2 tablespoons of rock sugar, and then 1 tablespoon of just regular salt that I'm throwing in there. And we're gonna add more salt and stuff later. So we're gonna let that soup go. It's gonna go for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And in the meantime, what we can do is go ahead and start prepping up all the veggies that we're gonna serve with the soup. So this is a whole bunch of cilantro. I've just chopped it up. I'm gonna set it off to the side on a plate. And then we're gonna go in with some thinly sliced onion. I'm just using a Spanish yellow onion. And you're just gonna wanna slice this as thinly as possible, because the soup, when you put it in the soup, it will actually kind of cook the onion a little bit, but so it won't be completely raw. But so yeah, just wanna make sure you get really thin slices on this. All right, next we're gonna slice up some green onion, scallion, whatever you want to call it, and we're just going to set that off to the side as well. And these are just things that are going to go on top of the soup. You don't have to put them in. These are all optional. It's just personal preference. So we've got everything set off to the side now. We got cilantro, white onion, green onion. All right, we're going to check back up on the soup. It has been about 1 hour now, and as you can see, you want this on a very low simmer, by the way. You do not want this to be on a rapid boil. Like I said, the low simmer is just going to slowly bring things up to the surface that you can skim off. So now we're looking at about 1.5 hours. We're going to go ahead and pull out the onion, because that will just start falling apart and it's just going to be, a mess in the soup. So all of the flavor that you can possibly get out of the onion has been extracted by this point. So we're going to go ahead and remove it. Now, the water is going down constantly because of the boiling, obviously, or the simmer that we've got it on. So don't be afraid to go ahead and add some fresh water back into the pot just to keep it going. So it's about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 was the total cook time that we had there. And now we're gonna go ahead and strain off the soup. So what I've got is just a regular strainer colander, and I've lined it with some cheesecloth just because the holes on this one were pretty big, and you want, like I said, you want the soup to be very, very clean, very, very clear. So the cheesecloth is really gonna help, kind of separate everything out. Oh, and also we were straining that into another pot, not directly into the sink. Obviously, if you did that, you would lose all of your soup. So make sure you have a pot underneath the colander and the cheesecloth. So now this is our soup. This is our stock right here. What we're gonna do now is season it. Seasoning is going to be fish sauce, which you saw there. I'm using Squid brand. One of my favorites is 3 Crabs. It was just, they didn't have it at the store when I went. So I ended up getting this one, which I like this one a lot too. And I believe it's actually a little cheaper than 3 Crabs. So you can see what I'm doing here is I just keep adding a little bit at a time, and then I'm gonna add another tablespoon of salt. Just keep adding and tasting. It's all personal preference, but you want it to be pretty salty because once you add it to the noodles, it is gonna kind of dilute it a little bit. So you want the soup itself to be pretty salty. I would say not quite as salty as the ocean, but pretty dang salty. Now for that chicken that we removed, I'm just running it under some cold water real quick just to cool it off. And then what we're gonna do is set it on a cutting board, remove it from move the meat from all of the bones, similar to like what you would do with a rotisserie chicken. And just, make sure you get all the bones out, and then we're gonna shred it by hand. Just make sure you got some clean hands. And that's it. You can see I've got the white and dark meat separated there. And so now for the noodles, you're going to use rice noodles. This brand was pretty good. I've found other brands that I like better, but this one's not bad. If you can find something like this, you usually have to go to Asian market to find these kind of rice noodles. They literally cook in 15 to 20 seconds. You bring a pot up to boil, drop them in for 15, 20 seconds, strain them out, and then immediately serve. So that's it. You put them in a bowl, however many noodles you want, fill up with soup, and then you add all of your garnishes. Like I like to do cilantro, onion, green onion, put my chicken on. I've got some fresh bean sprouts here, and then I like to top it with a little bit of sriracha, get that mixed in and get it all spicy, and that's it. I'm good to go.